Hvala vam na posjeti, na konferencije ove. Evo sada, znači ovo je moje, onda idemo na ručak. Eto, izvinjavam se, ja ću na engleski da pričam. Zbog njih, a tekst će čitav biti na našem jeziku. Dakle, Sveti Stefan has a problem with the research issues. It hasn't been researched enough so far, and Miroslav Lukotić, kao što je on rekao, Sveti Stefan nije nikada dovoljno istraživan, kao što je Duško to rekao i napomenuo juče na otvaranju. There are no serious, neither archaeological excavations, no archival researches, except the archaeological research on the Church of Aleksandar Nevski, actually previously Holy Lady. And therefore, in the task of researching Sveti Stefan implies a combination of different approaches, multidisciplinary approach of what we have now, what we can have now, and the entire actually material for research is very rare. Dakle, rijetka je građa i onda moramo da kombinujemo i arhivsku, i etnografsku i, hajde da kažem, epigrafsku građu i dok ne krenu arheološka istraživanja. Dušan, eto, možda inicira nešto, pa da vidimo ako što je moguće to izvesti na Svetom Stefanu. Ali u smislu Venecije, to mislim, da. We will start with the legend of the emergence of Sveti Stefan, how to say, the legend about the building or construction of emergence of Sveti Stefan. According to the legend, we know from Stjepan Mitrov Ljubiša, famous Paštrovići, how to say, literary writer from the 19th century. And we also know from Dionisije Miković and his fellow Antonije Vučičić, they also published also more than 100 years ago. So these two legends are almost identical. The only difference is that the Ljubiša says that the ship was captured in Solila, and Ljubiša says that the ship was captured in the ship with the Turkish, how to say, treasure was captured in Solila Bay. And Miković Vučičić says that it was captured, Ljubiša says it was captured on Jaz beach, and Miković says it was on Solila Bay. So also it follows that the Sveti Stefan, according to the legend, was built by the local clans. It was not built like Herceg Novi. Herceg Novi je sagradio tvrtko, na primer, a u ovom slučaju sagradila su plemena. Dakle, ovdje imamo tu neku demokratiju o kojoj je govorila, kako se zove, koleginica. Da. Znači, idemo dalje. Dakle, legenda kaže da je Sveti Stefan, the legend says that Sveti Stefan was built out of Turkish treasure that was previously captured after the battle for Kotor. Now we will take a look at some circumstances of the 15th century, where actually legend says that the Sveti Stefan was built. Then we have this charter on the founding of Monastery Praspica. There is mention of Mirište, mention of Presino, which might be Pršno or might be not, and there is no mention in Sveti Stefan in this charter, which was very close. Then we have this contract with Venice. From 1423, again, there is no mention of Sveti Stefan, although there is a mention of some other, for example, also there is no mention of Castellastva, but there is mention of Santa Maria, Monastery Santa Maria di Ratac. Then we have very important event in the history of Paštrovići. It was actually, there was a division, dakle desio se razdor u Paštrovićima 1442. When Stjepan Vukčić Kosača, i hvala Dušane, Dušan mi ukazao na ove neke istoričare koji su se otkrili u vezu, bosansku vezu Paštrovića, za koju sam se ja zapanjio kad sam saznao to, i malo ljudi znaju da u stvari je jaka veza Paštrovića sa tom bosanskom vlastelom koja je bila u stvari nastavak nemanjičke tradicije. There was like division in Paštrovići in 4042 when Stjepan Vukšić retook Paštrovići, and a big part of Paštrovići turned toward the Stjepan Vukšić Košača, and the small part of Paštrovići actually remained faithful to Venice. So this was probably the time when actually Kastelarstva, because those clan that was led by Radić Grubačević, they actually retreated in one castle at the cliff near the sea. Znači oni su se povukli u jedan kaštel na grebenu blizu mora. Many authors thought that actually it was Sveti Stefan, but later Marko Suđić proved that it is not Sveti Stefan, that it was Kastelarstva, and also it was also obvious from the new annals of Don Krsto Ivanović that were published. So this is also another testimony of other historians who is saying about this. So you can now read what is written here, that actually the Radić Grubačević, actually they retreated in this super scolio propre marina, and also Ivan Božić, famous historian, he thought also that it was actually Sveti Stefan. But what is important, it is probably in this period that Lastva, and as Miković says, what Miković says, that in this period Lastva asked for new bankada and new contract with Venice when this division occurred, actually, and Miković and Vučetić actually Miković and Vučetić mentioned that they actually came to. So Lastva probably joined. Actually, it was like the vision of Paštrovići bankada was divided when Stjepan Vukšić came back to Paštrovići, because they were also present in Paštrovići, because Stjepan Vukšić Kosača was actually was perceiving themselves as the, how to say, as the one who continued Nemanjići tradition. Because this Stjepan was like Stefan Vukšić, like Stefan Dušan, Stefan Uroš. So in Paštrovići, in that time, we have this in this time we have these two confrontation of two, how to say, streams. One stream is Venetian stream that actually is connected to Kastelarstva, and then we had this probably Nemanjić stream that is more connected to Sveti Stefan Komuna. So this is also one more testimony, also from other historian, and all these historians thought that this was related to Sveti Stefan. Marko Suđić, as I said, proved that it was actually not related to Sveti Stefan, but it's related to Kastelin-Lastva. So in Praskvica recently, okay. So in Praskvica recently, we have identified the coat of arms of Kosača. So it was long believed that this coat of arms in Praskvica monastery in the Church of Saint Trinity was related to Balšići, but actually now through using Google we easily found that actually it was not related to Balšići, and it was related to Kosača, which additionally proves that the historian sources that there was a divide in Paštrovići during the Kosača time. Ovo je taj, dakle, grb iz Praskvice koji u stvari dokazuje da Kosača nije samo protutnjao kroz Paštroviće, kao što se pominje, kao što se naslućuje na osnovu istorijskih izvora, nego da je on bio tu već snažnije pozicioniran. I već sada imamo tu, u tom samom stvaranju Svetog Stefana imamo dvije struje, i u smislu pravca istraživanja i u smislu istorijskih izvora i svega. Imamo i tu venecijansku, da kažem, struju, i imamo tu, da kažem, nemanjićku struju. Now we will, in literature there is one mention of Sveti Stefan, and one historian, Tošić, says in 2009 that Aleksa Paštrović had his like man in Santo Stefani in Sveti Stefan, saying that it is in Paštrovići, but actually it is obvious that it was not related to Sveti Stefan in Paštrovići, it is related to Sveti Stefan in Dračevica in Herceg Novi. So now we will go to the real mention of Sveti Stefan by this name. We actually don't know when but we can say that the name Sveti Stefan is first mentioned at Marino Sanudo, and I would like to thank Patricia Vale who sent me this source in the full, so it enabled me to read it in full. First mention of Sveti Stefan under this name is 1500, znači 1501. godina, prvi pomen Svetog Stefana sa tim imenom. Tokom Mletačko-turskog rata koji je trajao od 1499. do 1501. godine. And what is interesting, it is the mention that Paštrovići are trying to make deal with the back vojvoda. Znači oni su tad pregovarali s vojvodom, očigledno, a i u drugom jednom mjestu piše da Grbalj je već se odlučio, čekaju se Paštrovići, da se odluči da pređe na stranu Turaka. I to je vrlo zanimljivo jer su oni tada vagali izgleda. Bili su vrlo, da kažem, vjerojatno su možda htjeli Veneciji da naprave zazubice da bi onda oni bolje učinjeli kao što su vjerojatno uspjeli. Onda drugi pomen, također, u stvari ovo je već 1501. godina, tu se opet pominje da su Paštrovići sklanjaju Svetom Stefanu svoje porodice i onda sada ovo je jedan, kako se zove, ovo je već, znači, sredina 1501. godine, ovo je januar, znači 1501. godine, 13. januar, i ovdje se jasno vidi da su Paštrovići definitivno odlučili da pređu na venecijansku stranu. I onda vidimo ovdje, sada ćemo da vidimo prevod, ovo je, da kažem, ovog izvještaja Marina Sanuda. I evo, kao što vidite, Sandžak Sandžački naređuje izvršitelju svoje vodi da okupe kod 2000 ljudi, uključujući i konje. I sada ovdje ide informacija do ovog, kako se zove, ide informacija od ovog providura i onda oni šalju ukupljanje, da se krene u Paštrovići, da se obezbijede potrebne zalihe na prevojima, na ostrvu, naprave skloništa i parapeti bez troškova nasred gospodstva. Evo vidimo ovdje da prvo teoretski ovo može da se odnosi na kastelastvu, ne znamo. Znači možda se na Sveti Stefan, jer se ovdje pominje samo neko ostrvo, ali ajde pretpostavimo da je Sveti Stefan. Onda piše bez troškova našeg gospodska, što se upoređuje sa onim da su Sveti Stefan napravili Paštrovići od svojih sredstava, znači nije ga Venecija napravila. Tako da ovdje ima također vezano za događaj da su tada da jedna žena izašla sa ostrva, pokrila se kao nekim platnom da je ne bi pogodile strijele i onda je nekoliko neprijatelja ranila, jednog je ubila i onda je nakon toga dobila nagradu od Venecije kao pohvale. Tako da je ovo, therefore this is the first mention of Sveti Stefan. Further, if we go during the 16th century, there is a mention of the attack of Hajrudina Barbarossa onto Kotor. According to some sources, he attacked Paštrovići also, and probably maybe Sveti Stefan. We will see later why this Barbarossa is important in the analysis. Then there is a mention of that Paštrovići, from historical sources, there is a mention that Paštrovići erected their own walls with their own money. That happens in the Cyprus War. But also then we have one other document, Venetian, saying that actually San Stefano fabbricato degli dinari di vostra serenità, that actually Sveti Stefan was made da je Sveti Stefan napravljen novcem Venecije. Now I will make to comparison, jedno poređenje između legende i fakata i da vidimo da je legenda o Svetom Stefanu dosta utemeljena u faktima. So on one side we have Sveti Stefan was built from the treasure captured after the battle for Kotor. The fact is that according to the contract from 1422, Paštrovići were really obliged to fight for Serenissima from Bar to Kotor without any payments. Legend says that the city was built from the treasure captured on the Turkish ship that was actually anchored near Solila. Hajrudin Barbarossa in 1539 attacked Kotor, and sometime he was really anchored near Kotor, probably near, maybe, actually not probably, but maybe near Solila. The next element of the legend is Sveti Stefan was built by 12 tribes of Paštrovići. Here on the other side, we said what we have mentioned before, that mentioned in Marino Sanuto, that actually we see here making of something on some island. We don't know if it is Sveti Stefan, but we see that parapets should make shelters without the cost, without money of our Serenita. And also it is mentioned in this. It is mentioned in the source regarding the Cyprus board that Paštrovići reconstructed the walls with their own funds. Next element of legend is Sveti Stefan was built by 12 tribes of Paštrovići, not by some ruler. So the contract with Venice was signed by 12 tribes. During the history, the 12 tribes were actually involved in bancada, participating. So it is a kind of collective egalitarianistic action on the inter-clan basis. Another element is that the ship with the Turkish treasure was anchored on Yaz, it says Ljubiša, or Solila, Miković, and Vučić. When we look at the historical sources, we see that Solila was really under the Turkish rule in that time, because Turks retook all the property of Crnojević, and Solila was actually Crnojevića Solana. I kasnije se u nekim dokumentima u 17. vijeku Turci se pozivaju na Grbalj i govore da je to u stvari njihova begavina koju su naslijedili od Ivan Bega. Therefore, so Turks were actually were holding this Solila. Then also it said that the city was built out of the Turkish treasure. We know that actually if we talk about Solila, which was actually like salt factory, we know that the salt was very expensive, and actually this salt was actually maybe the treasure. Maybe we don't know actually, but maybe. And there is also one mention in sources that the salt was coming to Budva from these salt factories in near Solila, from this region somewhere. Next actually element is that within Sveti Stefan there were the 12 houses or towers were built for 12 Paštrovići tribes. When you look at the facts, we see that actually in the cadastral books we see that before the expropriation of Sveti Stefan, we see that some houses had like this sort of like communal property of within the fraternity. And also some notarial acts from 18th century says that also those, ovo ću da kažem da vezano za ovo, kako se zove, Mirjana, što si ti govorila, znači ti si rekla bila da imaju, znači iz 18. vijeka postoje podaci da su i ovi tamo iz one bande bili vlasnici kuća na ostrvu. I u početku su iz svih komuna su imali, kako se zove, ali su ih oni vremenom prodali kako je ekonomske prilike, onda im je bilo ekonomski nepodesno da drže tamo, pa su prodavali ovima, vjerovatno. A ima ta jedna isprava gdje Srzentić jedan prodaje kuću u 18. vijeku, naravno, sada kad je bila ekspropriacija nije bilo ovih iz one bande. Svi su bili s ove bande, ali u 18. vijeku ima podatak da je Srzentić jedan prodao, moguće da ima i više. Eto, moguće i to. So this is actually the circumstances of the 15th century. So the Turks are advancing from this side, covering Podgorica. So Podgorica fall under Turkish rule in 1474. Skadar falls. So Turks conquer Skadar in 1479. Ivan Crnojević removes the capital of Zeta state from Žabljak Crnojevića to Cetinje in 1482. In 1496, the full fall of Montenegro, Zeta or Crnojevića stay under the Turkish rule. So sve su ovo okolnosti gdje se otprilike se dešavaju oko Svetog Stefana koji su moguće dovele do gradnje, znači boljeg utvrđivanja Paštrovića u tom momentu. Additional information, Stefan Štiljanović moves from Paštrovići to. Vidite, u ovom periodu mnogo ima nekih dešavanja se dešavaju, što treba naravno mnogo to bolje i analizirati sve, ali sve se ovo dešava u tih 10 godina, 15 godina i to je vjerojatno taj period kad vjerojatno ili Venecijanci, Sveti Stefan bolje ga utvrđuju, nadograđuju značajno ili ga od nule ga grade. Možda ga nadograđuju. To su one stvari koje treba u budućnosti ispitati. So we have also the facts that in this period Venice builds fortifications. So this is the second half of the 15th century, builds fortification. Again, thank you, Patricia, for Concina source. Gianpaolo Gradenigo gradi Pulu u Budvi 1498. Ako je tačan podatak, Bobo Mitrović mi je pričao da je tu negdje, ja sam našao na internetu 1498. Dakle, u Perastu se gradi Pula, znači to je period kada se u regionu bolje sve utvrđuje svugdje. The first assumption is that Sveti Stefan was built actually or significantly better, fortified in the second half of 15th century as a result of the need of Venice to strengthen the territorial systems, defense systems in its dominions on the Adriatic Sea because of the Turkish advancement toward the west. But even if Paštrovići made Sveti Stefan by their own funds, as legend says, they could not actually have made it without the help of Venice in terms of engineering and any kind of other construction professional help, even if they did this with their own money. So probably Venetian, as you also mentioned, the Venetian, and also Professor Lološević mentioned, Venetian, defense geostrategy was based on the mutually connected antemurale or avanzati, as Professor Lološević said, avanzati, and probably Paštrovići were one of these avanzati that were connected in this chain. Što je bilo više, kao što kaže Milošević, što je bilo više tih povezanih antemurala u tom lancu, to je Serenissima bila bezbjednija i Milošević još ovo dodajem je navodio da je onda je on našao podatke da je Ulcinj antemurale bio Baru, Bar antemurale Budvi, Budva antemurale Kotoru, Kotor antemurale Dalmaciji, Dalmacija antemurale Veneciji. I što je bilo više tih povezanih antemurale, centar je bio snažniji. Below we have one assumption made by Milošević, historian famous. We cannot rule out that the legend of the emergence of Sveti Stefan, as mentioned at Luketic, can be related to the fights in the Cyprus War in 1570 and with the restoration of Sveti Stefan, and not of the building from zero, the new Sveti Stefan, when this legend, when actually Paštrovići captured the Turkish pleasure, because it is mentioned that actually after the Cyprus War, Paštrovići made Sveti Stefan with their own funds. This is one of the map where we can see actually that in the Montenegro coastline, we see only Perast, Kotor, Budva, Paštrovići, Bar, Ulcinj. This is the map for the 15th century, ovo je mapa iz 15. vijeka. I duž crnogorske obale se vide, samo mjesta su označena Perast, Kotor, Budva, Paštrovići, Bar, Ulcinj. Kao da Paštrovići znači, stoji rame uz velike gradove Budva, Kotor, Bar, Ulcinj. Što može da, ne kažem da jeste, ali može da ukazuje na tvrdnju da su u ovom kontekstu Paštrovići kao prepoznati kao taj jedan odbrambeni pojas. Now, before I finish completely, prije nego što završim, samo mi pomenuo kratko ovu vezu s kosačama, koja treba se istražiti kao jedna sporedna veza u istraživanju Svetog Stefana, kao mogućnost da je nešto tu napravljeno prije Venecije, da je nešto tu, kosače su nešto tu radile. Therefore, I would like to mention this connection with the Stefan Vukčić Kosača as a possibility that Kosače actually did some actually construction works before the major construction works did by Venice later. So Stefan Vukčić Kosača was actually, the facts are that Stefan Vukčić Kosača was actually the famous Herceg Stjepan, and Herceg Novi was named after him. He was actually the follower of the Nemanjići tradition and who had this title Stefan after the fall of Nemanjići. For example, one comparative data is that Stjepan Polje, near actually in Montenegro-Bosnian border, was named after Herceg Stjepan, and there is also the church of Sveti San Stefan, the Arhidiakon. So I would like to wonder if there any connection between Stefan Vukšić Kosača and Sveti Stefan, and the coat of arms in Praspica may strengthen this assertion. So maybe the church of Sveti Stefan was built for the time of Kosača, maybe something else next to the church. In this case, if Kosače made something in Sveti Stefan, then Sveti Stefan would, next to Venetian, would also have a layer that actually dates from the time of Herceg Stjepan or some other Kosača. So I would like now to conclude. We can see now that even in the story about the emergence of Sveti Stefan, just as during the entire history of Paštrovići, we see the two, how to say, streams. One stream is pro-Venetian, more related to Castellasva. Other stream is pro-Nemanjići, which is more related to Sveti Stefan community. So the research should be continued, new archival research, new epigraphic, archaeological, whatever kind of research. We should also make additional analysis from the angle of fortification architecture, and that why here are friends from Venice. And also, we should also additionally do research regarding this connection with Kosača to see how strong is this connection. Dakle, važno je još istražiti u vezu s Kosačama da vidimo koliko je ona jaka, da li je ona samo bila tu blaga ili je nešto jače tu bilo. Jer opet postoji puno indicija, Sveti Stefan, Stefan Kosača, ovamo Stjepan Polje ima nešto tu čudno, Herceg Novi se zvao prije Sveti Stefan, pa ovi Paštrovići prije Bosanci što su bili, Bosanci što su bili u službi bosanske vlastele, imali su jaku vezu sa Bosnom, a opet i Kosače su bili nastavljači tradicije Nemanjića, a znamo koliko se tradicija nema, dakle to sve treba istražiti, to su sve otvorena pitanja. Hvala vam puno.